Are you ready? The Kornelia Stephanie Show, Wake Up to Love, your call to action. Join Kornelia as she empowers others to live heaven on earth. Kornelia teaches listeners how to be the authority over yourself, embracing your inner guru. Feel yourself uplifted into limitless expansion, integrating ease and grace in a changing world. This show will cover topics such as unconditional love, your physical body, how to be in extraordinary relationships, create financial and emotional wealth, embracing entrepreneurship in the new earth. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kornelia Stephanie Show. It is an honor and a pleasure to be here. I'm Kornelia, and I am with my friends, Pia and Cullen. They're here from Cyprus, from around the world, and we're here to talk to you about the current energies and how we can navigate the ascension timeline here. Welcome to the show, Pia and Cullen.
Thank you. Glad to be here again.
We're always happy to have these conversations with you. It's always uplifting and truly a heartfelt experience.
Oh my gosh, right? Uplifting. Talk about uplifting. Don't we need that right now?
We do.
Absolutely.
Right? Don't we need that right now? I mean, even for the warriors such as ourselves, and I know there's many other light warriors out there that are holding the light and embodying the light and that are fighting the good fight. But I tell you, we are definitely being asked to step into our mastery, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yep. More than ever. More than ever.
More than ever. Yes. And that's why having these conversations, talking about how we are navigating these important times is a support for you, the listener, that you have already everything that you need inside, and that you keep going, and that you remember what it is that you came here to do. And for me, my personal mission, it's living heaven on earth. This is it. I constantly am reminding myself that's here now. That's here now in this moment, that I'm living heaven on earth, even though there's challenges in this present moment, even though there's challenges. And there's a lot of them.
There are challenges, but our Pleiadian friends Larkma always say in every challenge, there's an opportunity. So if we just keep looking for the opportunities, the challenges don't seem quite so hard.
Yeah, so now here we are in September 2021. Can you believe it? September 2021, and we're like in the third quarter of the year now. And what do you feel like where we're at? Like, I want to hear you guys' points of view. I want to share my point of view. I want to just, talk about that, the current energies. I want to talk about that. And then Pia, I saw that you put out a newsletter recently, and I don't have your calendar with me because I'm traveling. I usually hold it up and show the energy that we're in. But you were talking about the breathing energy that we are in now currently in your newsletter. I read the report, and that we were just completing a cycle of closing out the collective karma, and individual karma and collective karma. Do you want to talk a little bit about that before we go into other things?
Well, we're living on a planet of duality, first and foremost. So we are quite accustomed to hot, cold, right, wrong, male, female. All the dualistic aspects of life on this planet are in our face every day. But one of them that we don't usually think of is our breath. And it is the perfect example of how to make dualistic opposites harmonize in unity, because you cannot live if you don't breathe out and breathe in. You have to take the breath in, utilize it, and breathe it out again, which are exactly diametric opposites. So it's really important right now to focus on, in this time of challenge, instead of moving into pointing fingers and blaming people for whatever their perspective or position might be, that we unify together and say, whatever you're doing, you're on your journey with your own choices and you take responsibility for that. I'm on my journey with my choices and I'm taking responsibility for that. But leave the judgment out. Breathing energy is a period where typically it's very unstable energies. Anything can happen. It's a whole like the planet Uranus. Expect the unexpected. Just anything at all can happen. A loving, wonderful relationship can suddenly out of nowhere, all of a sudden have conflict. You might be doing fine financially and all of a sudden you get a real bill that you never thought would come your way or you weren't expecting. You might develop a problem in the plumbing in your house. You might have a car problem. All kinds of unexpected things happen in breathing energy. So our role and our job in this 13-day period is to remember to breathe. Breathe in, breathe out. Whatever is in front of us as a challenge is what we're taking in. What we do with it and breathe out is our opportunity. So we need to do that with everything that we're faced with right now. And as you said, it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. And it's so much that we're all being faced with. So having that compassion, like I've had to like really do a lot of compassion work for myself recently and, offer that to myself because I'm dealing with a lot personally. And I'm, traveling right now and I'm helping out a friend. And in that space, there is a lot of energy that I'm faced with that I'm normally not faced with. So there's that, and holding the space for myself like I normally do when I'm, in my own home and in my own environment, right? It's an entirely different energy when you're in somebody else's home and you're dealing with things. So I think the breathing is a really, really good reminder that breathing that breath and having that compassion for yourself with everything that you're facing and acknowledging that you're facing a lot and you're dealing with a lot and that you're breathing and that you got this. Right?
There's also a wonderful thing about perspective that is appropriate, especially in breathing energy. I saw a cartoon the other day, a video cartoon, where a man saw a car rolling and he ran to help and see what he could do. It was rolling forward. He was jogging by, the car was rolling forward, and he ran and tried to push it to stop it, and it wouldn't stop. It kept going. And he ran over to the side of the road and he got a rock and he put that under the tire and that stopped the rolling. And then he continued jogging by, and as he got to the end of the car, he saw 3 men were pushing it forward. So it really pays to have a little bit of humor right now in of these challenges and to look at the other perspective. Somebody's really struggling and having a hard time, but at the same time, maybe we can lighten it up a little bit by just changing our perspective.
That's really true. We do need to laugh, don't we?
Yes.
We do. And that story that Pia just shared has all kinds of analogies and all kinds of different perspectives within it. We never know, even if we're highly intuitive, even if we're highly empathic, we don't always know what someone else is going through.
Yeah.
Everybody has a story and everybody is facing something, whether it's subconscious, conscious, it doesn't matter how it's playing out. But that concept or that idea of compassion is really important at this time because we don't know what's going on in another's life usually. And we have to give space and we have to honor whatever it is that other person's going through without judgment and without trying to necessarily fix what it is for them, because we could be taking their responsibility away from them by doing what we think we should be doing. So I think we have to be really careful to realize that everybody has something to accomplish, has something to figure out, and we can certainly help them. And that's a heart generated understanding. But at the same time, we have to let people try to figure out what they need for their karmic or their life path without interrupting what they're doing.
There's another thing that plays into this energy also, and that is because it's such an unstable period where anything can happen, we trigger each other. The stupidest little things can trigger an explosive response. And we have to recognize that sometimes our role is to trigger something that's bottled up. And sometimes we just stumble blindly into making a stupid mistake. It can be either one, but we have to recognize also that we can't lay any blame on what's happening. It's just happening. Take it a moment at a time and do what you can with it and go forward.
Yeah, that's really good advice. That's really good advice for people to hear right now, that not to take it on, for people to understand that everybody's got their own journey. So where I am right now is I'm in Arizona, and I am helping a friend who was going to see her daughter get married. And at the place where I'm at, she is a caretaker of a beautiful soul that's 97. And this person recently went to the hospital just this past week, just before I got here, and was released in hospice care to me. I mean, and it's like, so, you know, my friend is gone and I'm here with this person, which is very sacred. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And at the same time, there's just a lot, you know, there's a lot. It's like, I don't have the training, but I'm doing such a great job. She told me, this is what she told me. She said, "You've earned some more some more stars on your crown." This is what she said to me. It was so beautiful. She also told me that she said she just feels so loved and nurtured by me.
That's good.
So it's really, really good. And at the same time, it brought a lot of uncertainty for me, because there's other work too that I'm doing that had to be put aside so I can be fully present here and not do anything else. So there's just a lot of challenges. But what a sacred time to be here for someone like this at this stage in their life, at 97 years old. And what an honor that is. So, yeah. And I'm actually thinking about that too, here, where am I going to be at 97?
Always an honor to walk beside somebody who's about to make the transition from the 3D world into another plane. That is such an honor, and it serves them so well when we can be loving and nurturing and present. But it also serves our souls to help us understand at a deep level, there's no fear of death necessary. Death is just a change of form. That's it. So there's nothing to be frightened of. So it's a service, but it also gives our souls something too.
Yeah, and so here was the opportunity, because the whole COVID situation. When she went to the hospital, we thought maybe it was COVID that she had, because she didn't get vaccinated, so she didn't have that, and neither did I. And so, me coming out here from Washington, the whole time it was like we had to wait, like literally till the last minute before I took the shuttle to come out here, because we wanted to make sure it wasn't COVID. And, and there you go. And it wasn't. And so now, just in the way that the world is right now, with all this uncertainty and all of this energy, it's been really interesting to witness and travel through it all and be with it all at the same time, being with this. So, I mean, I tell you, it has been an amazing time, again, to be alive here on planet Earth right now at this time, right? Very sacred time, very beautiful time, very challenging time. But again, reminding us that we came here for this. And that's why you and I, both of you and I, that we are talking about how to raise our consciousness and remember the truth of who we are?
Well, I think being present with whatever is going on and being authentic in our response to whatever is going on is absolutely the path to continuing to raise our consciousness.
Yes. So what are some of the current challenges that you're finding out in the world, what are you seeing with the whole collective fear energy?
Well, because we talk to people all over the world, we have lots of stories we can share from Australia and Europe and America, the UK. We have lots of stories, but pretty much the picture is the same. The controllers are tightening up their control on almost every single level. And those who are resisting full force, saying, no, we're not going to do it this way. So there's a great split happening between those who want to shape, manipulate, and control humanity into one particular format connected with AI, I believe, and those who want to maintain individual dignity, freedom, and intelligence. So we're watching the acceleration of that split of pathways.
Yeah, and it seems like it's more intense now than ever.
Oh, we've never lived through this kind of intensity in our experience, all of us. This is the most chaotic, the most intense period in human history. And not only do we have to be careful, as Pia said, to respond rather than react, but we have to absolutely be on our toes to realize that so much is coming to us that maybe we didn't ask for individually, possibly societally, and in the understanding of community. This may be happening all on purpose, actually, to help us grow and to help us see the opportunities during the confused, chaotic stage that we're in. But it really behooves us to be absolutely open and absolutely available to be changeable, because we have to change in radical ways on an everyday basis now. We used to live our lives pretty much in a normal, get up in the morning, go to work, do whatever we do, come home, try to relax, meditate, feed ourselves, whatever we were doing normally. And now things have changed so dramatically that many, many people aren't going to work. They're in the same house, the same building all of the time, often with the same people. And that changes the dynamic of how we interact and how we can communicate in a deeper, different way, how we can do things absolutely differently. So the circumstances that we've been given, regardless of where they came from or who developed them, is giving us the opportunity to make leaps and bounds in our growth and in different ways that we may never have expected that we would be changing. So this is a completely new system that we're navigating, and it's giving us tension, it's giving us stress, it's giving us all of the things that we don't really want in our lives, but at the same time, it's giving us the opportunity to deal with all of those things differently.
This is so well said, Colin. It's so well said. Like everything that you're saying, like when you were talking about that we've never experienced this ever before here on this planet, not with this much consciousness, not with this much awakeness embodied in form, with our soul in tow, if you will. Here we are, right? I feel like over this past week and a half, I feel like I've grown so much. And also at the same time, feeling so vulnerable and feeling also scared inside because of everything that you were talking about, what's being thrown at us consistently from all sides, that anything at any point in time could flip and go wrong or whatever. And then there you are, just being where you are and having to trust your inner center and your connection with source. And that's it. And like, this is what I felt like, getting on a plane. And I had the thoughts of like, what if all of a sudden, now there's going to be some kind of something about now I have to do something, or they're going to try to force me or something. I had all these thoughts, traveling nowadays. And then I thought, well, what if what if I don't make it back home? What if I end up being, what if all of a sudden, I don't get back home and I don't have my belongings and I don't have my things and I'm not in my environment? I mean, my ego was just freaking, I was like, I hear you. I am sorry, but we are doing this. It's like, oh my God, so I was just like, oh my God. Just being with myself in all of this, it's been huge. And I feel like right now I'm in a really good place because I've traveled a huge distance now and grounded in. That's the energy. I feel like I grounded in that new way for myself in this evolution right now. And it's been, but I tell you, it had definitely had me sitting like, wow, I'm afraid, right? I even had a dream the night when I got here. And here was the dream that we were sitting on top of a hill. Me and a bunch of us were sitting. I don't know who the people are, but they felt like they were my friends. So we were sitting on top of a hill and the ocean was before us. And all of a sudden, one of my beloved friends gets up, and it's in the evening time, so it was dark, gets up and dives into the ocean and never comes back. So then I woke up, right? And so now I'm in this new house and just had this dream. One of the beloved friends dove into the ocean, the emotion, right? Dove into the deep dark because it was dark and never came back. And, so I shifted the perspective on the never came back part. But because I woke up, and so who knows, he could have made his way back, but it was a really interesting dream that shook me a little bit and also advised me. What was your take?
Or he could have made his way to freedom.
Yeah, I was going to say, or he may have been the shower for all of you.
Yes.
That he took the plunge in trust to show everybody that it's okay, that we can do that and be okay at the same time.
I like that take. I think that makes a lot of sense.
And what you were saying about the what ifs a minute ago about traveling, well, P and I could tell you a very short story. When we decided to leave America a number of years ago, we decided to sell everything we owned, everything that was familiar, everything that was comfortable, everything we were used to. And it was a huge, huge experience for us because we knew that we were going to be challenged to do something new and something different. And we couldn't put a house full of stuff in a suitcase with us and take it with us. We had to make that choice to say, it's okay, we're going to leave all this familiarity and we're going to jump into the void. And it was harder for me than it was for Pia, but I think it was still challenging for both of us.
Oh, I cried. I cried at some things that I was parting with and thanked them for being part of my life and grieved that I would not have them anymore. And now today, I don't miss them at all.
The end of the story is, guess what? We're still alive. We're happier than we were owning all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. And we had a lot of stuff. We had a collection of spiritual art. We had a collection of the most interesting gems and jewels and stones. We had all kinds
Antiques.
of wonderful things that meant a lot to us. But here we are, living in a much smaller house, in a completely different environment, in a completely different country, and we're perfectly okay. So that dream to me really means taking the plunge, making the choice to do something different, and being in the moment and seeing what happens next. And I think that's a fantastic dream you had. I think that is an absolute opening to what is and what's possible.
Agreed.
You know, you're right. I hear you. It's true. It's amazing because I was so out of my comfort zone completely. You know, I feel like I landed on another planet, and like, okay, you know, we're going to drop you off here, and then let's find out what the rules are. What are they talking about here? What's happening here? You know, so I'm out of my comfort zone. And then, you know, like the things that where I said, okay, these are the things that I'm taking that I really need to have. Those are the things I left behind. Like those are, you know, like those special things that you absolutely have to have, or and even the phone plug to plug the phone in, and things like that that you really need. My hair gel, my perfect hair gel that I absolutely love, right? And you know, it's things like that. It's like, so I came, you know, completely out of my comfort zone into an environment that it was just like, okay, here you go, and now this. And then that dream, it scared me so much. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh, Cornelia, I think that this is the picture that everybody is facing right now. And the job we have to do is to step away from the fear, to know there's nothing to be afraid of. We are living in the most uncertain times the human species has ever experienced. And those who are imposing the rules change them every day, which is psychologically very destabilizing, because you don't know what the rules are going to be. You don't know if you're going to break them. You don't know how you're going to survive. All of that is the environment that we're living in. And Cullen and I think this is going to increase throughout the rest of this year.
And go ahead.
I was going to say, well, you know what you said, that we don't know how we're going to survive, you know, how whatever is being thrown at us. These are all things that are absolutely being felt right now. These are all the things that are in the collective and in this experience.
But the trick to it is not to ask the question, how am I going to survive? But instead to trust, well, I don't know what this challenge is, but I will survive it. Never ask the question, am I going to, or how am I going to? Just live it. One of the things that is happening that we see is there are a number of people in different professions, and I would like to applaud the nurses around the world first and foremost.
Yes.
Pressured because they're in the medical institution that they have to take the inoculation, whether they want to or not. It's no longer freedom of choice. If you want your job, you have to have it. And nurses around the world are going, whether they believe in it or not, they're going, you're not going to make me make a choice like that. That's my choice. If you want me to nurse here, I'm not doing it. And they're walking away from their jobs. And what's really beautiful about that is rather than saying, oh my God, how am I going to have money? They're trusting that it's going to work. And it is working. None of them are in hardship. It's working because they are trusting, which is a way of our breaking away from the paradigm of money, which has ruled us for eons.
Yeah, what we're talking about right now is extremely important, and all of the controls, all of the extremes that we're being put through is doing something really interesting. It's throwing us into a new paradigm of let's work around this.
Yeah, that's great.
This is a very simple. It gives me goosebumps to say this. This is a very simple way of dealing with what's going on. let's work around what's happening, because there's always an alternative. Larkma, our dear Pleiadian friends, have said, do your best to be like water. Move around things, move over things, move under things. Be fluid like water and work around what you need to work around. And it's a simple and very effective solution to what's going on now. All we have to do is work around it, and there's always going to be another alternative, another solution, or another option. And that takes us away from the what ifs. What if it's not going to work? What if I'm scared? What if, what if, what if? Working around is the answer.
That's also connected to the divine feminine, which is all about what Cullen's describing, flow, moving around it, over it, under it. That's something that has been lost at the patriarchal culture. But in the matriarchal cultures of many, many years ago, men and women both understood clearly that that principle of flow is how you managed life effectively.
Yeah. I mean, and really everything that you're talking about right now is exactly the energy I'm in, the energy I'm embodying. And this is it. It's having to trust moment to moment to moment that it's all good. It's all good. And I like the opportunity of looking at it from the perspective of let's work around it. Let's work around it. It feels empowering.
It does.
That feels empowering because that let's work around it. It's like, okay, yeah, this is what we have here now. This is how it is. Let's work around it. And I can see that I've been doing that, working around it, working with it, and working through it, and showing up in the moment, trusting. Because what's the alternative? Because if you're not doing that, if you're not showing up like this, then what would be happening instead? And that's not an option for me. It's like, no, right?
That would leave us absolutely stuck. And there's no growth, there's no enlightenment, there's no ability to achieve what we're here to do if we're stuck. It doesn't help. It doesn't get us anywhere. And it's not that we have to get somewhere progressively, like the patriarchal straight arrow. We've got to get from A to B as quickly as possible. I don't mean that at all. What I mean is, if we're stuck, we're not moving in the direction that we really, truly, in our hearts, want to move towards. So you're absolutely right. We have to be in the moment. We have to trust that whatever's happening is apparently happening on purpose, because the universe does move in a purposeful way, and it is supportive. And we simply have to be in that energy as much as we can. And if we're in that energy as much as we can, we're keeping our vibration as high as we possibly can at the same time.
Yeah. And that's the piece is, keeping the vibration high, keeping your immune system high. That's really, really important. It comes right back down to your health. It comes right back down to the frequency that you are emitting, that you are being in. And it comes right back down to living heaven on earth. It comes right back down to, what does that mean? How does one act living here? How does one show up in that? And this is what it is. It's like that. And like it is, it's a new place. It's a new energetic space that we're in right now. And there is a lot happening. When I talk to some of my clients, different people, everyone is saying the same thing. I'm dealing with so much. There is so much intensity, so much energy. And we can always bring it right back to the present moment, right back to the present moment. That's it. And that's where the freedom lies. We can be in this moment, and this is it.
And that is precisely because we have choice. We get to choose. We get to choose whether to be emotionally upset. We get to choose whether we want to look at what's happening and say, well, this is the present. This is the moment that this is happening. But it doesn't mean that that moment isn't going to transfer the energy into something else at any given time. We're not stuck in any particular energetic moment, because moment by moment, it changes and changes and changes. So grasping to what isn't working is not the solution. Holding on to what's possible is the solution.
Yes, holding on to what's possible, being open to the new, the possibility of something new to emerge that hasn't revealed itself yet, but you, as the orchestrator of the energy, are setting the tone, if you will, setting the space. And no matter what, like one of the other irritating things that I experienced here is well, first of all, it's 105 degrees. That's one thing. The second thing was that there is just everything is like there's all buildings all around. It's one strip mall after another. It's like strip mall after strip mall after strip mall after strip mall. When I'm doing my morning walks or whatever, it's just all buildings, 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 buildings. And all the stores and everything look the same. It's like the same thing that's reproduced, So this is irritating to me because where's my trees? It's like, where are my trees? I want my trees, So it's, this was another thing. So what do you have to say about that?
Well, I think what comes to mind immediately is it's just temporary.
Everything's temporary.
It's just a phase. It's just an experience that you've agreed to be part of, but you're not going to be in that environment for a tremendously long period of time. You're there to be of service. You're there to accomplish something, but you will go back to your trees. You will go back to nature, and you will rejoice. You will rejoice in the fact that you had a different experience that was not what you want, not how and where you wish to live. But when you get back to where you do live, it's going to be like, wow, I'm so lucky that I've chosen to live like this, because I don't have to live that other way because I don't want to.
Yeah. When I see this, it just, like there's all these buildings and everything going up. It feels like that's not the way we want to go. It feels like that's the wrong direction, people. Why is this happening? Where's the city of love here? I mean, come on, what's happening here? So, all these buildings and all the, all the space being used up. And so, I don't like that. And again, it's a little bit shocking because, I live in a small community and, there's a lot of open space and, here it's just more big city like. And so it is a difference. It is a shock to the system. Like I said, I feel like I landed somewhere different and it's like, okay, here you go. Let's see you master this, little lady. And, let's see how well you do. Rah! Yeah, rah! It's like, oh my gosh. And then the dream. And so I love what you said about the dream, that this was the perfect dream to really fully dive in and feel all of the emotions and show the way it's done, that this is how we do it. We take it all in and we move around it and dive in.
Dreams are really powerful things when they are conscious dreams. Did you know that the inventor of the sewing machine, Elias Howe, the night before he invented it, he had a dream that he was at a situation with a bunch of cannibals around him, and they were jumping up and down with these pointed spears like this, with little holes in the spear, and the spears were doing like this. And it was a terrifying dream. And he woke up the next day and went, what am I supposed to do with that? And he invented the sewing machine with the needles that go up and down instead of the blunt-faced needles that have been used to sew before.
Wow, I didn't know that. Who knows what we're going to create? Who knows, like you said, who knows what's going to come out of all of this, all the possibilities that are going to come forth.
Yeah. That is a really positive way of looking at this, because this is certainly a big test for us. There's no doubt that we're all being tested. And we've talked about this during this conversation. We've been tested in ways we've never been tested as humanity, as a society, and personally, individually. And yet, this test is going to bring new ideas, new creations, positive technologies, different technologies than what we're used to. Larkma talks repeatedly over the years about how archaic our human technology is. They don't laugh at us because they don't laugh at people. They simply look at what's going on without judging it. But they do say, you think your technology is cutting edge. And they say, it's not, it's archaic.
They also say our medicine is archaic and barbaric, and that we have a long way to go, and that we should start by paying attention to the sounds around us and the sounds that we make through our own voices, because sound is healing, and we haven't figured that out yet.
So what's going to happen through this chaos is softer, more humane technology is going to develop, more aligned with nature than AI or hard science. And as Pia just included, medicine is also going to change, because the situation we're in right now is all about bad medicine. It's all about medicine that does not work. And so through this experience, we are going to co-create better medicine. We're going to co-create more natural medicine. So technology and medicine will change in the next year or so in a way that many of us have been wanting to happen and looking forward to being part of it. And if the situation that we've been involved with wasn't happening to us, maybe these new technologies and maybe this better medicine wouldn't be available, wouldn't be creatable if we hadn't gone through this test and chaos.
Because humanity got a little too comfortable, and there was nothing new coming up because everybody was a little too comfortable with the familiar. So the universe had to give us something else to say, well, what are you going to do with this?
So we can look at this as a springboard in a very positive way, not in a negative way. We can see this as a leap in our true understanding of who we are and what we can create together. And that is part of creating heaven on earth.
Yes. It's absolutely, I totally see that. New healing modalities, new medicine, new ways of living and being that are more in alignment with our true nature. That is the new way. So we have to be the conduits to welcome that energy in and, let it unfold.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And maybe that's the bottom line. Maybe that's the absolute goodness of what we have to be going through, is to make it possible for this to happen. It may not, because Pia talked about the normalcy of just living the way we've lived. Maybe we needed to be jolted out of and away from that normalcy to realize that we have to do the work around to create what we truly need.
Is that the gift of COVID? Was that the gift of COVID, Pia?
I don't consider COVID a gift on any front, but I consider it, because it's a lie. That is the main reason. The whole thing has been a lie. It's not just like, oh, here's a disease to teach us something. The whole scenario has been a lie. So I do not consider that to be the gift. What I do consider to be the gift is the pressures that have pushed and formed us into the point where we pop and we rebel and we go, nope, we're not doing it this way. That's the gift.
Well, and it came because of that. But it came, so it came because of that. If that didn't happen, then we stayed in the comfort zone, like you said earlier, for far too long.
I disagree with you, Cornelia, because I think
no,
it was just one step in a very long agenda. It was an accelerated step, but this agenda has been going on for some time, pressing us more and more and more into compliance. And when we got to a certain level of not paying attention, they upped it. And this scenario was introduced. So I say we have to go all the way back to the beginning. It's the pressure of the agenda that is bringing the gift of pushing forward to break out, to rebel, to find our freedom. It's not a virus called COVID. It's not that at all. It's the pressure of the agenda and those who wish to manipulate us. And the gift is in our saying, I don't think so.
Right. That is the gift. It is the gift of claiming your autonomy, claiming your freedom, claiming your knowing that you know that that is not the right way, that you are not asleep to the agenda, that you're not giving your power away to the agenda, and that you're not going to be bullied and strong-armed into something that doesn't resonate with your organic nature.
Absolutely. And that brings us back to the topic of responsibility. We've given our responsibility up to governments, religions, medical institutions, almost every media, almost every agency we have listened to and said, oh, well, you must be doing this for our own good, so we'll go along with what you're saying. I think what you and Pia are both talking about from different angles is we absolutely need to take our own responsibility back away from those we've given it to because we thought they would take care of us. And there's a really interesting equation here. You said freedom a minute ago, Kornelia. We've given our freedom up in the guise of safety and comfort.
Yeah.
We've given up our freedoms because we were told that whatever these agencies, these organizations are doing will make us feel safe, make us feel comfortable. It has not done that for us. It has actually made our lives more challenging because we didn't stand up and use our own responsibility to say, wait a minute, that isn't true, or that isn't good for us. So I think this whole discussion brings us back to the big topic we've been talking about for a number of shows together, about we need to recapture our responsibility to take care of ourselves instead of relying on someone else. And I mean someone else in the guise of institutions that pretend they're taking care of us.
One of the critical things that I think we need to do is a real step in regaining responsibility for taking care of ourselves is reinstituting the art of critical thinking. People are so lazy that they just believe whatever they read, see, or hear, and they don't think. There's never a pause where they go, does that make sense?
Right.
Where did it come from? And that's one of the key components that we need to focus on in individual and collective responsibility right now is the art of critical thinking. And I would say, if you don't know how to think critically, take a course.
Oh, I should develop one. And yeah, definitely take a course on critical thinking. That's so true.
It's the first course I had to take in graduate school, and I was already a critical thinker, but it was very interesting. And I think people who are accustomed to just listening to the news or whatever they see on TV and going, that must be the truth, truly need a course in how to think critically, because there's a key element to thinking critically that begins with taking it into your heart and seeing how it feels. Does that feel right? Is there something out of alignment here? And then you start the critical thinking process, because the heart is giving you a red flag warning signal. Something's not right here.
Yes.
And I think that's linked to intuition, because intuition is such a powerful tool that many, many humans have let go by the wayside and just have said, it's not real. It's an imaginary skill that really isn't important. I think what Pia just said is critically important, because the heart is the vehicle to receive the intuition. And if we do that, we're going to think critically, because if it doesn't feel right, and I'm paraphrasing what Pia said, but I think it's really important here. If it doesn't feel right, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And if there's something wrong, we need to look at what's wrong and look at it from a different perspective and say to ourselves first, I don't like this. It doesn't feel good. I don't feel balanced. I don't feel in harmony. I don't feel peaceful. And then we need to take that to the next step and let society know it's time that you do something about this. It's time that you stand up and say, we don't like this. Mm-hmm. And until we start doing that, whether it's through critical thinking, intuition, heart wisdom, however we want to label it, until we truly begin to do that again as we used to eons ago, all of us had the ability to do that. We were all empathic. We were all intuitive. Unfortunately, and this is one of my favorite things to say, we sold our souls to technology, and we let go of those innate powers and skills and abilities because we thought technology would take care of all of it.
Yeah, and that's one of the gifts that I feel that I've developed in the course of my awakening journey, is really tapping into my intuitive in tapping into my intuitive. That's the only way to go. Mm-hmm. And trusting that intuitive guidance that says, no, this doesn't feel right. No, that this is not the way to go. No, take a left here, go straight here, this kind of thing. And trusting that, and trusting what is coming out of me, that is organic and authentic, because I'm listening to my inner self. I'm listening to my inner soul. And that's an important way that you can really learn how to trust yourself. And when we were talking about earlier about, how everybody's experiencing a lot right now, I thought about this the other day, because the mind cannot keep up with all of this allotness. There's so much, the mind just can't keep up with it. So it's too much, but the heart can, because what you're going to be doing when you're making the decision moment to moment to moment, and you're inviting your heart to lead, the heart can handle it, but the mind can't wrap itself around all of it.
Think about it. The mind is a forward progressing machine going around and around, forward, and then until it forms a loop. The heart pulses like the breath. It beats, it pulses back and forth. And it takes us back into that place of opposite polarities forming unity. We need every heartbeat and every place where it's resting. We need the pulse and we need the rest. We need the in-breath, we need the out-breath. When we rely on our breathing and on our heart, and let the mind take the orders from the heart, we're in a much better position to make sound, wise decisions and choices.
And this is the key. This is the absolute key to getting us out of the mess we're in. And we have to be honest enough with ourselves to realize and accept that we created this mess by giving up our authentic selves. As you said, Kornelia, giving up our authenticity, giving up our integrity, and giving up all those things that really are the central point of who we really are in here. And if we don't use that key to regain who we really are and to move forward in a positive way, we're just going to keep listening to whoever's telling us what we're supposed to be doing. And it's proven at this point, especially through what's been going on for the past 18 months, that it doesn't work.
No kidding. Yeah, this is really, yeah, it doesn't work. We've seen that. And what, we're not going to keep approaching the problems with that same consciousness, like Einstein reminded us so brilliantly back then. It's time to rise up and uh, be open to the new ways, the sustainable ways, the ways that's going to sustain us, that's going to sustain our future. That's what we're opening up to now. And we're moving into a 22 year next year, 22 master builder number. So I'm really looking forward to moving into that vibration so that we can, step into our master building vibration next year.
It's also, if you add 2022, it's a 6, which is all about flow, which is that divine feminine principle we were talking about learning to flow over, under, around, create something different. And in October of 2022, we move into an energy that is going to be bringing more peace and harmony, that is directly guided by the planet Venus in peace, harmony, and balance.
This is so good. You are singing this. You are just making my everything inside of myself is going ding, ding, ding. It's my birthday, October. So this is going to be so good for me. Thank you. And for all of us, but especially for me. Thank you. Pia.
Well, we've been stalled as a global community. We've been stalled for a very long time. And the flow that Pia is talking about is necessary to get us back on track, or get on a different, not back on the same track, but get us on a different track. And what we see is that the beginning of 2022 may not be that different than 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21. However, as 2022 progresses, there will be changes and there will be opportunities to regain the harmony and the balance that we've been missing in these past several years. So we're seeing 2022 as a springboard or an opportunity to really, truly create what we want and to make a big difference. So we're looking quite forward to 2022.
Me too. I'm excited. I'm really, really excited for that time period. And like you said, it might not happen, in the first part of the year, but it usually doesn't happen in the first part of the year, because the first part of the year is still 2021. We're still closing that cycle. The first, the beginning of 2022 doesn't happen till the spring anyway. So by the time October comes along, we've only got 6 months in, pretty much,
Well, in March, Pluto moves out of Capricorn and into Aquarius. And Aquarius is all about the future and about doing things eclectically, differently, and in a way that has never been imagined. So this heavy energy that we have collectively been experiencing around structure with Pluto and Capricorn is going to feel like a breath of fresh air when it moves into Aquarius. It's going to be, whew, spring is here and Pluto's moved into Aquarius. That's great.
That's going to be great news. I think I want to close the show on that today. I want to thank you all for coming again and having this beautiful, enlightening conversation with us, nourishing our souls with consciousness and compassion and love. Thank you so much, Pia and Cullen. Can we let the audience know how they can reach you, Pia?
Sure. Our website is LARKMA, LAARKMAA.com. And my personal website with my books and things that are on my own is just my name, Pia, P-I-A, Orlean, ORLEANE.com. So you can find everything that Cullen and I do together, everything that we do with the Pleiadians, and the things that I've done on my own on those two sites.
They're both filled with amazing information and amazing services that we provide humanity. So have fun looking us up on those websites, because there's a lot to discover.
Yes. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in. We'll see you again next time. Take good care. Take care.